Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain, and welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 136. Today, we're going to be talking about successor trustee responsibilities. Now, over the weekend, we had an event for our clients. We invited them to come and bring their successor trustees, and we taught them about the roles and responsibilities that the trustees have when it comes time for them to take over as the trustee of the trust. And we got a lot of great feedback from our clients. They said they learned a lot. So I wanted to share that information with you here on the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about responsibilities generally. And then over the next several weeks, we'll be talking about specific duties that the trustee has either at incapacity or when the trust maker dies. So I hope you'll stick around and join us for those as well. Now, today, as I said, we're talking about the responsibilities of the successor trustee. The first thing that the successor trustee needs to know is that they have a responsibility to protect the trust assets as a fiduciary. Now, a fiduciary is a person who is managing assets that don't belong to them. They belong to someone else, and they have to safeguard those assets and take care of them really better than they would even take care of their own assets. Can't subject them to unnecessary risk. They have to be invested prudently and, of course, spent wisely. The trustee, of course, has to follow the instructions in the trust document. So if the trust maker has written instructions that the assets are to be used this particular way for these particular people, then the trustee is required to do those things. The trustee can't decide, well, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to give the assets to someone else. They have to follow the instructions that are written in the trust document. Now, another thing the trustee needs to do is they need to keep accurate records. They need to be able to establish that what they did with the trust assets was in fact in line with the instructions in the trust document. They need to be able to prove that the expenses that they paid were trust expenses, the distributions that they made were to the beneficiaries that are supposed to be receiving the assets. They need to be able to verify those things and ultimately report all that information to the trust beneficiaries. So keeping accurate records is critical. Of course, part of the responsibilities is also filing an income tax return for the trust if needed, for the trust maker if the trust maker is still living, or even if the trust maker has passed away, a final tax return would need to be filed as well. So tax returns is going to be a part of it as well. Now, a couple of guiding principles. The trustee cannot favor one beneficiary over another. All of the beneficiaries have to be treated equally. The trustee can't mix the trust assets with their own assets. They have to stay titled in the name of the trust, with the trustee having access to those assets. And then the assets in the trust cannot be used for the trustee's own benefit. Now, if the trustee is a beneficiary, they, of course, can distribute the assets to themselves as instructed in the trust and then use the assets for their benefit. But while the assets are in trust, the trustee can't use the trust assets to pay the trustee's bills, expenses. Well, they can pay expenses related to the trust administration, but not their personal expenses. So those are the trustee responsibilities generally. And as I said, we're going to talk over the next couple of weeks about specifics. Next week, we're going to talk about what happens if the trust maker is incapacitated. What does the successor trustee need to do in that circumstance? So I hope you'll join us for that one. But I hope today was helpful for you, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.